I've always had a way of getting what I need, or at least making it seem that way. A gig here, an audition there, just enough to scrape by but never enough to truly keep my dreams alive. Still, men are easy to read, easier to manipulate. They see only what they want, a girl who's hungry but never desperate, a girl who moves like the floor is her lover and smiles like she's already said yes. I don't mind it. Not the late nights, not the slick hands at my waist, not the whispered promises that only half come true. I've learned that when talent and words aren't enough, my body can be its own form of currency. It doesn't make me feel cheap. If anything, it makes me feel in control. Sometimes, I even enjoy it, the moments where desire and opportunity intertwine, where a man's gaze feels like a spotlight cast over me. I've lost count of how many men have had me. In apartments they didn't deserve, in cars they bragged too much about, in dimly lit back rooms reeking of sweat and liquor. For an hour or two, I belonged to them, and in return, I took what I needed. Their names whispered into the right ears, their empty promises of introductions, their hunger for me, for my body, for whatever they could get. None of them mattered. Not really. Until him. I met him at a rooftop party downtown, where the air was thick with ambition, smoke, and the pulse of bass-heavy music. I wasn't there for fun. My focus was on a choreographer, one of the nice guys who took too long to decide if I was worth his time. Champagne in hand, someone else's glass, not that it mattered. I let my dress slip just a little lower off my shoulder. I could feel eyes on me already, but his gaze was different. It wasn't leering. It wasn't admiring. It was precise. Calculated. He leaned against the railing, dressed in black, blending into the shadows like he belonged there. He didn't look rich, but power radiated from him. The way he held his drink, completely still, unbothered, made it clear he owned the space without ever needing to try. When our eyes met, my pulse faltered. I don't remember how he got me alone. Just the feel of his hand on my arm. Firm, guiding, like leading a sleepwalker. He steered me to the elevator, then down to a waiting black car, sleek and predatory. I slipped inside without asking where we were going. I should have been afraid. I wasn't. The ride was silent, but the air between us was charged, electric, buzzing beneath my skin. I felt his gaze trace over me, studying, stripping me bare without a single touch. When the car stopped in front of his building, a towering monolith of steel and glass, I followed him without hesitation. His apartment was as stark as he was. Dark. Clean. Cold. The door clicked shut, sealing us inside, and suddenly it was just the two of us, tension crackling in the space between. He moved toward me, slow and deliberate, like testing whether I would run. I didn't. He closed the distance, fingers tilting my chin up, forcing my eyes to meet his. His touch was firm, commanding. A shiver ran through me, a mix of anticipation and something far more dangerous. Then, without warning, his lips crashed against mine. It wasn't soft. It wasn't hesitant. It was fierce, consuming. His mouth claimed mine with a hunger that stole my breath, my balance. I stumbled, but he followed, pressing me back against the wall, trapping me between the cold surface and the heat of him. I didn't push him away. I didn't want to. His hands found my waist, grip unyielding, every movement deliberate. Heat ignited beneath his touch, spreading like wildfire through my veins. My body trembled, but I couldn't tell if it was from him or the sheer intensity of what was unraveling between us. By the time he led me to the bed, I was lost in him. His hands were rough, his touch fevered, like he couldn't wait to explore every inch of me. He stripped me bare with urgency, his fingers and lips tracing over newly exposed skin as though he needed to memorize every curve. He didn't ask if I wanted this. I didn't need to say it. My body had already spoken for me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was raw, untamed. He held me down, his weight anchoring me, his every movement precise, deliberate, leaving invisible imprints on my skin. And I let him. I didn't resist. I didn't want to. I craved the sharpness, the ache, the sensation of being taken without pretense. When it was over, I lay there, trembling, my mind spinning in chaotic circles. He didn't pull me into his arms. He didn't speak. He only watched me, those dark, unreadable eyes peeling away layers I wasn't ready to expose. And yet, I couldn't look away. The next day, everything else felt muted, colorless. Auditions blurred together, faces I once charmed became unremarkable, their presence barely registering. I went through the motions, but none of it felt real. My thoughts kept circling back to him. His touch, his presence, the bruises on my skin that made me wince but only reminded me of how much I wanted him again. I tried to move on. I let another man take me to dinner, let him kiss me in his car. His hands were soft, careful, too careful. It felt wrong. I wasn't looking for tenderness. I needed something else, the spark, the edge, the unspoken demand of being truly seen. I needed him. I went back. I couldn't explain why, but the pull was undeniable. It was as if something deep inside me was bound to him, and no matter how much I told myself to stay away, my feet had already carried me to his door. When I stepped inside, there was no surprise in his eyes. Just a quiet certainty, like he had always known I would return. He said nothing. He didn't have to. His gaze held me steady, unwavering, making my pulse quicken, making me crave him even more. I didn't speak. I kissed him instead, urgency threading through every movement. His lips were rough, but his touch held something different this time, restraint, just enough to keep me teetering on the edge of control. I thought I could take the lead, but as if sensing my intent, he flipped me onto my back in one swift motion, pinning me with a single hand. His weight pressed down on me, solid, inescapable. The rush of surrender hit me like a crashing wave, drowning me in emotions I couldn't quite name. Every nerve in my body burned under his touch. His presence enveloped me, his body covering mine, and for the first time, I understood. I wasn't in control anymore. I was his. Completely exposed. "Don't think," he murmured, voice rough with need. "Just feel." I closed my eyes and let go. Every touch, every press of his body against mine felt like a mark, a claim. His hands moved with purpose, tracing every curve, every reaction. His lips were hungry, relentless, leaving a path of fire in their wake. I tried to hold on, to grasp some shred of control, but with each passing second, it slipped further away. Being lost in him was terrifying. The way he read my body, the way he knew exactly how to unravel me, it was unbearable. There was no escaping him, no holding on to the version of myself I once believed in. And when he finally took me, it was all-consuming. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just raw intensity, each movement drawing me deeper into him. He didn't stop when I thought I had nothing left to give. When I trembled from the force of it, he pulled me back into the fire, his rhythm unyielding, his hands never leaving me. Time blurred, hours folding into each other. I lost myself completely. By the time the darkness of the room settled around us, exhaustion weighed heavy on me. But I stayed. I didn't leave. I couldn't. Even in the quiet, with his presence beside me, something kept me there. I didn't know what it meant, but walking away felt impossible. Days passed. Then weeks. And I kept going back. At first, I told myself it was just the high, the rush, the ache that left me shattered and alive all at once. But it was more than that. It was him. His silence. His darkness. The way he stripped me bare, not just physically, but in ways I couldn't even understand. He terrified me. And I craved it. I used to believe I was the one in control, the one pulling the strings. Now, I wasn't so sure.